Greetings from Stamford, Connecticut. It's Guy Hutchinson. This is Pointless Nostalgia. I am here because this is where they filmed the video for Jive Soul Bro, the slick video from the WWF. It was filmed on this street. Everything on this side of the street has changed. Almost nothing on that side has. So there's a lot to match up. It's a lot of fun. I love that video. I think it's so much fun. There's a couple different shots in it. There are shots on this street. There's a shot that I don't know where it was taken, and then there's some studio shots that would have been taken on the other side of Stamford at the studio where he's in the green suit dancing. So that lip sync and stuff, that wasn't here, but the stuff where he was walking down the street all happened right behind me, and we're gonna take a look at it. Now I wanna put some emphasis on this time period so you remember where Slick was in WWE history. Slick was the son of Rufus R. Jones, who's a professional wrestler. Slick started managing in Texas in the 80s, and then the WWE was looking for new managers. They were the WWF at the time, but they were looking for new managers. Classy Freddie Blassie was looking to retire, to get off the road, and so Slick was introduced as a guy who purchased half interest in the Classy Freddie Blassie management team. So Slick now managed Volkov and the Sheik, and then he managed Hercules, who he sold to Bobby Heenan, which was a big storyline, and then eventually he managed Akeem, the African Dream, who went on to pretty big success. And I think Slick and him, it was a really good pairing. I think it was a lot of fun. People enjoyed watching it, and I think that was probably the height of Slick in the WWE. They then put out this album, Pile Driver. Interesting album. The cover is Hulk Hogan wearing a hard hat. The title track is called Pile Driver by Coco Beware, who I don't ever remember seeing do a pile driver. And in the video, it's a crazy video, by the way. I think it was shot out in Long Beach, California, or maybe San Diego, California. But it's on this construction site, and you've got all these wrestlers acting as construction workers, oogling women and stuff. And then they cut to footage of Coco Beware singing the song, and then also doing his finishing move, which wasn't a pile driver at this time, when he says it feels like a pile driver, which I don't know if Love ever felt like a pile driver to me. There are a lot of other songs on the album that are notable before we get to Jive Soul Bro. Girls in Cars, a Jimmy Hart song. Jimmy Hart, of course, a very well-recognized musician prior to his WWE time, and so he did this great song, Girls in Cars. I think it's very catchy. Hillbilly Jim does a love ballad called Waking Up Alone. Really just a, it's a WWE album, so they're weird, they're fun to listen to. So anyway, you listen to the album, Jive Soul Bro stands out. Now, that song is a cover of a song by another artist. The original song was called Jive Ol' Foe by a guy named Captain Chameleon. It wasn't a hit, but WWE, I like to pronounce my W's W, but sometimes when you do too many of them, just go W. Anyway, they thought this song would be good for Slick, rewrote it, and they recorded the video. The video is an absolute blast. So let's walk down the street and take a look at some of these locations.
Everybody's talking about the hottest album in the country right now, Pile Driver, the wrestling album 2, of which yours truly is featured with the #1 hit on the album, Jive Soul Bro.
So the TV broadcast actually showed him eating at this restaurant. This looks to be a newer restaurant, but they've got the old bucket, which is very cool. You actually do see this restaurant in the background towards the end of the video, but he filmed the intro right inside there. And then the video would have been filmed right down here. The video would have started him walking down on this sidewalk, and you can tell it is because you can match up the buildings in the background. But again, all of this is new, but this stuff across the street matches up. I'm going to show you some of the shots here. The first time we see him in the video, he's emerging from this street here, and we can see all of these buildings in the background. Note this one here, you can see that one very clearly, and these other ones along here. See, I met this lady and I told her quite a story, told I love her forevermore. But the trouble is, I tell the same old story to every girl who walks through the door. It was right here on this sidewalk. The video then shows a car driving down the street, and that would have been right here, right where these cars are driving down. Now there is this shot, which would have been right here. You can see this building here in the background. And so he would have been doing this right here. The scene where he meets the lady at 7 feet tall, that isn't here. It was shot someplace else. I don't know where that was shot, but he's got a different outfit on, and it was shot at night, so they probably shot that someplace else, but could have been a doorway here. I just don't see the reason it would have been, but you can see that there in the background. So during the video, there's a kid on a big wheel. The kid on the big wheel is riding down the street. Slick has to jump over him. There's a bunch of people running after him going, "You're a Jive Soul Bro," and they're just chanting it as he tries to walk up the street. Every lady he talks to, there's ladies everywhere, and he's looking at them and talking to them, and they're all, pushing him off. There's a lady trying to drop a potted plant on him. There's just a lot of craziness. But then he goes down this side street, and there's just a bunch of guys that dance with him, and then a bunch of women kind of dance with him, and kids, and everybody gathers around to watch the slickster. It just was an amazing, weird video. He went down this alley. It was all completely different, totally different buildings. He danced with a guy with a boombox down here. All of that just appears to be gone. I don't see any of that. You see the Stamford Hospital in the distance from here. So after he jumps over the big wheel, the kid riding on the big wheel, you see him walking by this building, right down with these buildings in the background. And he continues going down the street. They probably shot this in multiple takes, but probably only over the course of an hour or so, right on this street here. And all the people in the background probably didn't know what was being shot. It was probably just a couple people with cameras shooting it. You can see this in the background, by the way. Now this shot would have been taken from right here. Again, this is all new. And later we see him go back down this alley. And down this alley there was a big billboard. There's a giant billboard that was right over here, and a bunch of people were hanging out underneath it. And he went and sung for him. Some people liked this, some people didn't. There were some high fives and also some guys just shaking their head as Slick danced past them. And there you see the KFC bucket, and that's the one in the background. This area looks a lot nicer than it did in the video. It certainly has been cleaned up a bit. Still has Colonel's delicious chicken. But yeah, it's fun to think. All those years ago, Slick going right down this street talking about a lady who threw him on the floor with a figure 4. There is a part where a lady throws a potted plant out the window. It would have been on this side. So again, that building is not here anymore. But yeah, all happened right along this stretch, and they didn't go down very far. They went about 1 block down, and then they went about 1 block that way. And it's neat to see all this stuff still looking the same. Right here on West Main Street, also known as Jackie Robinson Way, here in Stamford, Connecticut. I don't think the song ever got any airplay on any radio station, but my goodness, it got some airplay in my house. My little tiny AM FM radio with a little cassette player, I put this cassette in over and over, and man, I'm glad I did. This is a fun song, and boy, it's fun to see the locations, to think that on this street, that's where they did this, that's where they were walking down, and just that probably a lot of this was also kind of on the fly, where they looked and said, well, we could do this, or hey, this kid's here with his big wheel, why don't we do a thing where you jump over it? And I kind of love that kind of filmmaking, and I love that era of WWE wrestling where it was really just felt like things could be kind of organic and slapped together, and everything wasn't as corporate and thought out in advance. It's just kind of a different era, and boy, that was my childhood. Well, from the locations of Jive Soul Bro, One of my favorite music videos. I'm Guy Hutchinson. Hope you enjoyed this. Hope you enjoyed this trip down memory lane, seeing some obscure and unusual locations. Right now, a box is going to pop up here and a box over here. You can choose either one. I'm in both of them. I'm sure there's something you want to see. Go ahead and click right there. And I'll see you next time.